of time. You're currently under arrest for making off without payment. You don't have to say anything,
but I haven't made off.
We don't mention one question to the little line. Anything you do is maybe give evidence.
But I haven't made off though.
Welcome to UK Cop Zone, the channel where we expose misconduct, explore police and legal issues, protect public rights, and demand accountability. Today's incident comes from I Spy Audits. Be sure to visit his channel through the link below and give him the support he deserves. The situation begins when I Spy stops at a BP petrol station, tries to pay using a £20 Royal Mint coin, which is legal tender in the UK, but instead of handling the matter correctly, the staff refuse it and call the police over what is clearly a civil disagreement. When officers arrive, they escalate instead of de-escalating, eventually arresting I Spy despite no crime being committed. That reckless decision comes back to bite them when I Spy takes the case to court and walks away with a massive payout.
One coin.
Never seen them in my life.
So it's from the Royal Mint, so the same place that all legal tender comes from.
Have you got any other means of payment at the minute?
I don't know. Right. Can I ask why you didn't tell me before you started recording?
So when we got any incident, our tour of duty and our police protocol is to video every incident we go to achieve the best evidence.
But you've got to notify the person at the first available opportunity.
No, we don't.
You do.
Have you got that from somewhere? Have you read that up somewhere? Or?
Yes, your policy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at the minute, we're obviously videoing everything because we've been called to an incident. Immediate response where there's some ongoing issue with payment, whether it's a domestic...
999?
Well, that's what's coming as, yeah.
Wow.
Well, we just didn't know what was happening. There was an altercation in the shop, so we've arrived on that instance. Are you going to give me your name?
I'm not, no.
Right, okay. Because is there a reason for that?
Because it's a civil matter, and it's not something that the police can get involved in.
To a degree, you're right. It is a civil matter. We can deal with it a different way, but obviously, ultimately...
From the moment the officer arrives, she proves she's unfit for the situation. The auditor immediately notices her body cam and asks why she didn't declare it. As guidance clearly states, officers must notify the public at the earliest opportunity, instead of admitting her mistake. She denies the rule exists. She then demands his name, even though this is a civil disagreement between him and the petrol station, not a criminal matter. There is no legal basis to demand ID when no offense has occurred, meaning the officer either didn't know the law or chose to ignore it. Both unacceptable for someone in uniform.
But they're not accepting that money.
But that's up to them to accept it. If they decline...
They've obviously run the post office and they've declined that. Ultimately, it's a civil issue, but if you're not willing to give us your details, then how do we know that you're going to resolve the civil issue at a later date? If you're happy to give us your details, then we can look at the civil issue at a later date.
But that's a civil issue, that's nothing for the police to get involved in.
But we don't know your details, do we? So you could technically escape from here and never come back and never deal with that issue, then you'd be circulated as wanted for that, won't you, for making off without payment?
That's not a police issue at the minute.
It is. It is a police issue because you've not paid for fuel. So there's still an offence there of that you've not paid for your fuel.
But I have paid. I've gave them...
But you've gave them this coin, yeah, which ultimately they've spoke to the post office and they've decided that it's not a reasonable amount of payment for your fuel. So at the minute we're sort of hands are tied, yeah, agree with you on a certain instance of that, but we still need a solution today whether we take...
The officer then claims she needs his details so they can deal with it later. Yet in the same breath, admits it's a civil dispute. She tries to create a power that doesn't exist by insisting he must provide ID, so they can resolve it, which is not how the law works. She even bluffs that he could be circulated as wanted, which is completely false because wanted markers apply to criminal matters, not civil disagreements. If she truly thought a crime was happening, she should have assessed dishonesty, intent, and leaving without payment. But the auditor stayed, attempted to pay, and disputed the method. Classic civil territory, not criminal. White heavy check mark.
The post office said that it doesn't really exist, you can't pay with that. No. He obviously won't give us our details. I've explained to him to a degree it's a civil matter. However, if he does make off and he doesn't give us our details, we're struggling for any sort of civil issue at a later date. Any details and making off without payment, yeah. So I've explained if he does give us his details and we know where he is and we can contact him at a later date, hopefully this issue can get resolved. No. He's obviously not really wanting to do that at the minute.
Because it's a civil issue and it's nothing for the police to get involved in.
But you're still going to make off, aren't you? technically without payment, but if we can get your details,
But I have paid.
but you haven't.
And it is their policy to accept the £20 coin.
Have you?
How's it
Has
their
he paid?
policy? No, he hasn't.
Right. If you haven't paid, and if you walk out the door now,
They've
then
still
you're
got,
li-
they've still got the money though.
Just let,
Well, what have you
just
said
let me
that is?
finish. If you
Yeah.
walk out that door now, you are liable for an arrest because we don't have your details.
But you don't need them
Well, I do
because it's a civil issue.
but it's not, because a make off without payment is then a police matter.
The second officer walks in and
An officer enters. She instantly escalates the situation by threatening arrest. Even though the auditor is still inside the store, making no attempt to leave and clearly trying to resolve the dispute. There is no making off without payment because he hasn't left, and there's zero evidence of intent to avoid paying. He had already offered a legal tender £20 coin, which the cashier refused. Under the Theft Act, both the act of leaving and the intent to avoid payment must exist. Neither applied here. Yet the officer twisted a simple civil disagreement into a criminal threat simply because she couldn't get his details. White heavy.
If you walk out that door now, you'll be getting arrested for make off without payment.
But there is an agreement with BP that
Is there
the
any other
coin can be
way? Is
used.
there any other way that you can pay? Because we're going to sit here for hours arguing. I've been quite respectful to you. I appreciate you have to a degree, and I appreciate that from yourself. You haven't been argumentative with me, and I appreciate that you've been a normal human being.
No,
However, we need
I don't
a
intend to.
solution.
No.
No, I know you
If
appreciate
you
that.
can pay for the fuel now by other means, then that's fair enough. It'll be the end of the matter.
Or if you can give us your details and we can deal with it at a slower time, we can offer you that. But if you're not willing to do either any, then we're struggling with what we have left to do.
Because we can't let you walk out that door without paying. But
We don't know where you live, you might not even be from around here, I'm not saying you are, but you know what I mean, we have people where they'll make off and then they won't give us our details and then we're going to struggle. I'm still going to have that £20 of fuel, unfortunately, with this BP garage outstanding.
Which car is it?
But I have paid for the fuel.
But you haven't paid for the fuel. Which one?
Right, we're going round in circles, aren't we?
We are, unfortunately, yeah. We've agreed, we've reasoned with you now, and we've tried to say that if you give us your details, just tell you where you live, we'll deal with it slow time. However, you then leave, you don't have your details, you don't know where you live, you could live in London for all we know, and then there's still this making off without payment because they will not accept this as payment.
But I don't have to identify for a civil issue.
It technically isn't a civil issue though, is it, when you leave and you don't pay? You haven't paid for your fuel. We've got the payment here, which isn't acceptable, so really you can't.
Warn him if you leave, acting as if he's about to run off, even though he never once tried to leave. They weren't responding to reality. They were reacting to an imagined scenario. His number plate was right outside, offering a simple and lawful way to confirm details if needed, but they ignored that and continued pushing unlawful demands. Rather than resolving the issue, they twisted a civil dispute into ground for arrest, creating a problem instead of solving it. White heavy check mark.
So I've handed the coin over. Right. So I haven't got that in my possession, and I've contacted BP head office before coming here.
Right, and was that today then, or?
No.
So when was that then? So you've contacted BP head office before you've come in?
Correct.
Right, so did you contact them today, or was it yesterday or last week, or?
It's not up to me to say that.
How's it money?
Do you understand what the £20 coin is?
No, that's why I'm confused.
Well, why are you threatening me for arrest then, if you don't know?
Because it's not money.
It is.
Right. We'll agree to disagree. At the end
you don't know that. It is. It's legal tender, the same as a £20 note and a £10 note.
Right, and who did you speak to from the BP garage, the manager?
It's a Royal Mint who issued that £20 coin.
Right.
So it's the same money as any other money.
If you get someone on the phone to me who you've spoken to earlier, then we could kind of end the matter here, can't we?
But if it's a civil issue, I don't need to assist you.
But at the minute we don't know it's a civil matter.
But I don't need to assist you in a civil issue.
But you do, because it then turns into a police matter because...
The auditor already explained that BP confirmed the £20 coin was valid, which should have ended everything. Instead, the officer insisted he must personally call BP headquarters, or else it becomes a police matter. That's nonsense. Citizens have no obligation to assist officers in that way, and refusing doesn't turn a civil issue into a criminal one. When she said, "We don't know that coin," she only exposed her lack of knowledge. A £20 Royal Mint coin is legal tender, and if officers don't recognize it, that's their failure, not the auditor's. White heavy check mark.
Civil agreement.
Risk of being arrested because you haven't given us the details, and you're going to walk out that door, and it's technically a failure to pay.
But then it'll be a civil. But then I'll sue you.
Well, that's fine. If you want to sue us, that's fine.
Unlawful arrest.
Like I said, we've been honest with you in terms of which way we can go. The staff here have been very honest, okay. And all I'm saying is, if you get the person on the phone who you spoke to earlier with the agreement, then that could be the end of the matter. But as far as I do, then technically, if you walk out the door, there's going to be a make without payment.
He's already accepted to take it.
You haven't accepted to take it? No.
Haven't accepted to take it.
You walk out that door, becomes a criminal matter, and you get arrested for make off without payment.
Oh, you give us your details.
You're refusing to give us your details, and we don't know that that vehicle is yours because you're not.
But I've told you
Is it urgent?
that he said he would take the coin
But he isn't out.
if I take my mask off.
Right, well I wasn't here for that, so we have no witnesses, unfortunately, other than you and him. Right now I can't view that.
Body camera.
But right now I can't view that. At the end of the day, you've come in, you've paid for you've got your fuel, you've come in. This isn't a payable matter. Once you leave, we've offered you to give us your details and deal with it that way. For all I know, that vehicle could register somebody else and lived in London. And how are we ever going to trace you?
But I don't need to assist you.
Situation, it is making off without payment. I can't be any more reasonable with you and give you some sort of options that we can go.
But I don't need to assist you.
Are you offering to give
Because
the
you're
staff,
wrong.
not myself, not my colleague, the staff your name and contact number?
No.
Right, so we have one option but two will lock you up then.
Well, I've got a civil agreement in the background.
You can
So
prove that at court.
I've
You
got
can prove that at court.
That's
then.
fine. You can prove that at court.
Right, well this moment in time, you're currently under arrest for making off without payment. You don't have to say anything,
but I haven't made off.
We don't mention one question from the budget line court. Anything you do is maybe given evidence.
But I haven't made off though.
For your arrest is prompted in factual investigation. Okay?
But I haven't made off.
You're under caution as well.
And due to the fact that you failed to provide details.
But I haven't made off.
Failed to provide details, yeah.
But I haven't made off.
Right, are we going to go calmly? We're going to go quietly?
We would go calmly all the time.
Okay, well, do you want to walk with us then?
Of course.
Thank you. Just come with me, sir.
The officers then arrest the auditor for making off without payment while he is literally standing inside the store saying, "I haven't made off." You cannot make off if you haven't left. The law requires both the act of leaving and an intent to avoid paying, neither of which existed. He offered valid payment and was still in the middle of the disagreement. It was an indefensible arrest from the start. Months later, I Spy confirms that he walked away with £3,999 in compensation after taking the force to court. The chief constable settled the case but never apologized, choosing to pay thousands of pounds rather than admit wrongdoing, a silent admission of how weak their position was. This incident shows how a simple civil disagreement can spiral into misconduct when officers rely on authority instead of law, creating imaginary scenarios to justify actions they had no legal basis for.